Japan banning censorship in their manga and anime is one of the greatest news that I've heard this year, and it's a massive W when it comes to the anime community, especially in the Western audience. But one critique that I do have about this is that it's a problem to begin with. I mean, come on, it's just pictures moving on a screen. Why is this something that really needs a big problematic deal behind it? It doesn't make sense. I get it. There are certain things that we'll touch on later, but my gosh, come on. It's not that big a deal. If you're not a fan of it, just click off. Probably what y'all have done right now. But yeah, it's a policy that has been introduced when it comes to Japanese culture essentially crawling over to the Western audience, especially when it comes to their anime slash manga, because that is a huge deal that we're dealing with right now. I mean, anime is becoming mainstream, and I know a lot of people are not a big fan of that, especially hardcore anime watchers, because for some reason these anime fans aren't open. They want to gatekeep their forms of entertainment, which makes zero sense, because I am a big fan of watching anime and I want people to watch anime. I am pretty much telling every one of my friends that I have, hey, watch this show or watch this anime. You're gonna like it. Trust me. I know it's Japanese. Watch it in English, because there are some series that excel in English, and I'm sure that you're going to like it. I don't understand why this whole anime debate deal, or whatever y'all want to call it, is such a problematic thing to begin with. It's just the form of media. But the best thing about this whole policy is that they're not going to be censoring anything that pretty much has been happening in Japan, and their manga slash anime is going to carry on 100% with no modification whatsoever over to the Western audience. So when we want to watch anime, we're going to get the full deal that they are getting. Nothing ridiculous like how the Chinese censorship is happening, because that is just diabolical. Why would you turn blood white? It's the worst color. For some reason, I can't help but to tie this in with the anime tourism, anime anti-tourism spiel that's happened a while back that I made a video on previously, and it's kind of ridiculous how this is being a problem. I don't, again, see this as a problem. Before y'all get triggered, I just want to let you know beforehand, again, I've just exclaimed how crazy I am about anime. I mean, this whole account's about anime. I want anime to be part of my job, part of my life, and a way that I could, make a living off of. Now, with that said, it's just anime. It's just cartoons. But again, I'm glad that it's happening, that Japan is actually implementing a policy. This is a policy, not an actual thing that has been implemented yet, but it's introduced. So we don't know what the full thing is or what's going to happen and what's official outcome of this. But it's a good step forward that anime or Japan is actually doing a great deal when it comes to their audience. Now, I'm not going to explain the whole policy that is introduced, because again, I have a pretty small brain when it comes to describing anything of the sort and summarizing. So I'm going to introduce you to, I'm pretty sure you've already heard of this guy, Chibi Reviews. He is a great YouTuber. He goes over the policy a lot more thorough and easier to understand. So I highly recommend watching his video when it comes to wanting to know what's going on with this whole policy. I am just here to explain. It's a great deal. It's amazing. I'm glad that this is happening, but again, it shouldn't have been a big deal to begin with, because it's ridiculous how this is becoming a controversial topic. Now, with all of the things that I've said, I can see why people want some sort of censorship when it comes to anime, because the difference between our cultures are pretty significant. I mean, you don't see a lot of form of media that, or a way of life that you see in the Western culture or here in the US. There's a big difference, and it's nothing new. It's a difference between cultures. There's going to be a big gap or a small gap or some sort of gap in between when you compare the two. But one thing that I do see people worrying about, and I really don't like this topic that I'm going to bring up, and that's lollies. Now, lollies have been a thing for anime for quite a while. It's a very common thing, but something very uncommon for us in the US. We kind of see that as PDFs. Don't get me wrong, it's 100% understandable that you see it that way, but I feel like, and I know that but scared y'all, lollies can be done in a way where it's not uncomfortable. For example, Hunter x Hunter. There is a character who is pretty much a lolly in this series, and her name is Bisky, but she's done what you would want for a lolly to be, the safest net. If you want to make a lolly, make it a character that is not going to be excessive when it comes to fan service. And this is a perfect example, because she's not made in a way where people are going to have her eyes glued to her. She's just a character who is in a little kid's body but is severely old, and the only form that she does take is a very muscular physique, something that you would probably see at Gold's gym. And that's probably the only way to go about it. And if you want to add another spin to it that's not so similar to this one, then make it a character that is not going to be etchified. And if you don't know what I mean by that, I mean by barely wearing any clothes. Now, there are some obviously very, very bad examples when it comes to setting up lollies, and I don't really want to get into it because it can make people uncomfortable, and I don't want to make people uncomfortable with it. But a lot of the time when you do see a lolly, it's not in the brightest ways. This is where I kind of see where the censorship in the Western culture be implemented with, and I 100% understand you don't want to see that stuff, but it's going to happen regardless. This trope of lollies are a common thing in Japan, and it's something that you can't get away from, and the only way you can get away from it is by just simply clicking off. Another thing is fan service. When it comes to fan service, I see a lot of people that are completely uncomfortable with it or think that it's absolutely unnecessary, and sorry to hear it, buddy, but it's going to stick around for as long as you are alive, because fan service is a big thing in the anime community. If you don't like it, just simply click off. And if there's an anime that you do like, for example, I don't know, Fire Force, where there's one character, I forget her name a lot, but her clothes just simply pop off every single time that she has any encounters with anybody in the series, I can see that's being really annoying. The best thing that you can do when it comes to those scenes, because majority of the times when her clothes do fly off, it's nothing significant, you can just double tap the screen and skip forward 10 seconds. It's not that big of a deal. It's not going to ruin the entire series for you. And the funny thing is that the reason why this policy was made, and the reason why there's a lot of censorship issues when it comes to anime over here in the US, it has to do with mainly people that don't even watch anime. They just want to piss on our parade, or however the saying goes, and just want to make things a lot more difficult for an everyday person that just wants to chill out. It's ridiculous. I don't want some person on the internet saying, hey, you shouldn't be watching this because it carries these types of issues and these problematic controversial topics. You shouldn't be watching that. I don't give a shit. Let me read my Goodnight Pun Pun. Let me watch my Takopi's Original Sin. I want to watch things that are extremely sad, so I'm going to watch it. But yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to say. I'm glad that the censorship issue is going to be resolved, or trying to be resolved, or at least being looked at, and it's taking a huge step forward for people that watch anime over in the US or anywhere else in the world. And I just really hope that it does pass by and we can just be over with this stupid topic. Again, it's not a big deal. Shouldn't have been a big deal to begin with, but it's a good thing that it's being looked at, because it is unfortunately a big deal. If you like what y'all are seeing, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, as that does help around on my channel a lot. Appreciate y'all for hanging around, and I'll see y'all next time. Adios, guys.